Have you ever looked at your garden and thought, I need to turn those beautiful colors into a card? Because that's exactly what happened to me today. Hello, everyone. I'm Revati, and welcome back to my crafty space. Lately, my backyard has been absolutely bursting with bright, beautiful blooms, and all those happy floral colors became the inspiration for today's card. In this video, I'll be creating a vibrant floral card using bold, cheerful colors, simple techniques, and lots of layered florals to capture that fresh spring and summer garden feel. So, if you love bright color palettes and floral cards that instantly make you smile, you're going to enjoy today's project. Now let's get started and bring some of those garden inspired colors on paper. For my project today, I'll be using the absolutely gorgeous Garden Gala set from Altenew. This kit has such a beautiful oversized floral image that instantly caught my attention, and I knew it would be perfect for a bright, colorful card inspired by all the flowers currently blooming in my backyard. I'll be using the large floral image along with the coordinating layering stencils to add lots of vibrant color and dimension to our florals. And to bring in even more texture and interest, I'll be using the coordinating embossing folder to create a soft but detailed background that really helps the flowers stand out. Now, one of the things that truly makes me fall in love with these Craft Your Life project kits by Altenew is how thoughtfully everything is put together. You get the stamp set, coordinating dies, layering stencils, and embossing folders all packed in one sleeve, and everything works together so effortlessly. It honestly takes the guesswork out of the designing because all the elements coordinate beautifully right from the very beginning. Now, these kits are especially wonderful when you want to create elegant layered cards without spending hours figuring out the supplies that work together. Whether you like clean and simple cards or more detailed, colorful designs, like the project that I'll be creating today, these kits make the creative process so much fun and incredibly inspiring. So let's start blending some bright, happy colors and lots of floral texture and create this beautiful garden inspired card together. I'll start by stamping the large floral image onto an A2 size cardstock panel. For stamping, I'm using the Obsidian Black Pigment ink because I really wanted a nice, rich, crisp impression for all those beautiful floral details. Now, before moving on to the coloring, I'll be adding a layer of embossing powder to this pigment ink and heat setting it in place. This little extra step makes such a big difference because it gives the outline a beautiful glossy finish while also helping the floral image stand out so nicely against all the bright colors that we'll be adding later on. I also love how the heat embossing creates those slightly raised edges, which makes ink blending with layering stencils so much more easier. The embossed lines almost act like tiny barriers, helping keep the colors separated while still allowing for soft blended transitions. Even at this stage, the floral image already looks so elegant and detailed, and that glossy black outline is going to look absolutely gorgeous once we have all those beautiful, vibrant colors added. For the embossing powder, I'm using a clear embossing powder from Altenew. Once I have the powder applied all over the entire stamped image, I'll go ahead and heat set this panel using my heat tool until all of that powder melts into a smooth glossy finish. Now, because this floral image covers almost the entire A2 panel, one thing I want to be really careful is trying to prevent the cardstock from warping as much as I can. So instead of holding the heat tool in one place for a really long time, I continuously keep it moving around the panel and slowly working in sections. That constant movement helps distribute the heat more evenly and helps the paper from overheating in one specific area. It also helps achieve so much more smoother embossed finish without scorching the cardstock. And once the embossing powder melts, you can immediately see that beautiful shine come to life. The glossy black outlines add so much more definition to the florals and will look absolutely stunning once we start blending in all those bright colorful inks. Let me know down in the comments below, do you enjoy adding embossing powder over your stamped images for that glossy raised finish, or do you prefer keeping your stamping nice and matte? Once my panel has completely cooled down, I'll go ahead and use the coordinating die to cut out the floral image before moving on to the coloring step. I'll then place the die cut floral image onto my ultra sticky mat to hold everything securely in place while I work through the stencil layers. And for today's project, I decided to go with some really bright, vibrant colors inspired by the beautiful blooms that I see in my backyard. For the florals, I picked a combination of some sunny yellows along with rich reddish oranges to create a warm, glowing garden feel. And to balance those beautiful warm floral tones, I'm using bold, vibrant teals for the leaves and foliage. I absolutely love this color combination because the cool teals really help the flowers pop and add lots of contrast and freshness to the overall design. I'll be using these small ink blending brushes to finish all of my ink blending today. Now, even before finishing all those stencil layers, I could already tell that these colors were going to make this card feel so cheerful, bold, and full of summer vibes. Now, this particular floral image comes with just two coordinating stencils. So I'll start off with stencil number one. The stencil mainly adds the base layer of coloring to the image, but instead of just using that one flat shade, I'll be bringing in multiple tones of each of those colors to create a lot more depth and dimension. For the flowers, I'll keep the darker shades concentrated closer to the center of the petals and then softly fading the color outward towards the edges. This simple blending technique instantly gives the florals a much more realistic and dimensional look without needing any complicated coloring. I'm following the same ideas with the petals and leaves as well, building up the color gradually and allowing those brighter areas near the edges to help the flowers and leaves feel soft and glowing. Even though this is technically just the first layer, adding those variations with different shades really helps create that extra richness and movement in the image right from the very beginning. I then repeated the same exact process with stencil number two, continuing to build up the color using those darker shades towards the center and softly blending everything outward for a more dimensional look. This second stencil layer really helps bring all those details in the florals and the foliage to life. Once all the layers were complete, the image suddenly had so much depth and contrast and vibrancy to it. And honestly, I absolutely love how these colors came together. The bright yellows, the reddish oranges, paired with those beautiful teals, create such a fresh, cheerful combination. And it really does remind me of the colorful flowers that we see all around us this time of the year. The finished floral piece feels so bright, bold, and full of summer energy, exactly the look that I was hoping for with this card. Before I move on to the next step, I just wanted to quickly mention that this video is actually an extended version of an Instagram reel hop that is hosted by Altenew. The theme of the hop is Color Your Summer, which is such a fun and inspiring challenge, and it really encouraged me to play with these bright, vibrant floral tones today. If you'd like to see more inspirations from the hop, make sure to head over to my Instagram account where I have shared additional details along with other beautiful projects from fellow participants. Now, let's move on to the background. For this step, I'm using the Garden Gala 3D embossing folder from Altenew to add that beautiful dimensional texture to my card base. Now, I love how the embossing folders like this one instantly elevate the design because they bring so much more depth and interest even before any color is added. You could definitely leave this background as is, just plain white with that bold, beautiful image popped on it. But I decided to add the slightest bit of ink blending diagonally opposite to where I will be placing this beautiful image. This combination of texture plus gentle color always gives such a beautiful layered effect, and it ties the entire design together in a very elegant and cohesive way. I decided to go with the same shade of teal to add just the slightest touch of color in the top left hand corner. This placement is intentional as it sits diagonally opposite to our main focal point image, helping to balance the overall composition of the card while still keeping the background soft and airy. I'm really loving the use of teal on my card today. This is a color combination I personally haven't tried before, but I'm so glad I stepped out of my comfort zone and went for it. It's amazing how one bold accent color can completely change the feel and look of a project. Once I was done with the ink blending, I moved this panel over to my splatter box and added some black splatter all over the background. I really love this step because it adds that final touch of texture and contrast, especially after all that soft ink blending and layered colored work. The black splatters helps break up the smooth areas and bring a little bit of artistic movement to the background. It also ties back beautifully to the bold black outlines from the embossed floral image, creating a nice sense of cohesion across the entire card. At this stage, everything is really coming together, and those subtle splatters add just that extra bit of depth and interest without overpowering the design. Off camera, I went ahead and created a little sentiment strip by stamping the sentiment that says sending you a smile using white pigment ink on black cardstock. Now, all that's left to do is assemble all these components together. I placed our large floral image right in the center of the panel using small bits of foam tape to add dimension and lift. I'll be trimming off any of those excess edges that hang over the panel so everything looks neat and balanced once it's adhered down. For the sentiment, I positioned it in the top left hand corner, right over the softly ink blended area that we created earlier. This placement helps tie everything together visually while still allowing the floral focal point to remain the star of our design. At this stage, I'm really loving how all that layers, the texture, and the colors are working together to create a bright, dimensional, and cohesive floral card. I then added foam tape to the back of the entire panel and carefully adhered it onto a top folding A2 size card base. This final layer really helps lift that design and adds even more dimension, making the floral focal point stand out beautifully against our beautiful textured background. Once everything was secure in place, the card instantly feels complete. It is dimensional and full of vibrant colors and texture from edge to edge. I really take my time to adhere the panel onto the card base, making sure everything is perfectly aligned and centered. I love that the little white border that frames the entire design. It gives it such a clean and finished look and really makes the colors pop even more. Now all we have left is to add a little bit of bling to finish off this beautiful card project. For that, I'm using the Stellar Sequences by Altenew. I love adding sequins as a finishing touch to my projects because they catch the light so beautifully and bring just the right amount of sparkle without overwhelming the design. I'll be scattering them through thoughtfully across the card to enhance the composition and add a subtle bit of shine that really brings everything together. I love that these stellar sequences come in a variety of different sizes, which makes it so easy to pick and choose exactly what I need while designing my card. It really helps with creating that natural looking clusters and adding visual balance across the project. I also like to store them separately by size, which makes it so much more easier and quicker to pick them up while I'm working with them. It keeps my workflow smooth and helps me focus more on creative placement rather than searching through mixed embellishments. I adhered the sequin mix using some liquid glue. And well, that completes today's floral card project. I absolutely love how the bright summer inspired colors, layered stencil work, textured background, and a touch of sparkle all came together so beautifully to create such a vibrant and dimensional design. Now, if you enjoyed this process, don't forget to check out the full Instagram Reel Hop hosted by Altenew for even more color your summer inspiration from other talented creators. Um, I will be definitely leaving all the supplies and information about the Instagram hop down in the description box below. Please know that all of these links will be affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I'll get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.